Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marchegiani here. Today's video, we're going to be doing a quick video on allergies. It's that wonderful time of the year. We did an in-depth podcast on this topic just a couple of days ago. We'll put that more in-depth podcast link below so you guys can check it out for a deeper conversation on that topic. And again, put your comments down below. Let me know your own experience with allergies, things that have helped and or hurt you. Really curious. And then also, if you enjoy the information, thumbs up, share. Sharing is caring. Write us a review. We really appreciate it. We'll put a link down below for the reviews too. We really appreciate it, y'all. All right, let's dive in. So allergies. What are allergies? Allergies are your immune system being overly sensitive and overreacting. At this time of the year, we have a lot of things in bloom, a lot more pollens from trees and flowers and grasses and danders out there. Of course, animals are out as well. So there's just lots of danders and foreign antigenic proteins, particles out there in nature. And if your immune system is overly sensitive, you may be reacting and responding to these things, especially if you go outside and a lot of these particulate and antigens are sitting up in your sinus cavity all day, brewing and creating inflammation because your immune system is overly sensitive. That's going to create problems. So of course, like runny nose, itchy eyes, itchy skin, hives, welts, fatigue, energy, mood stuff. Of course, if you're on allergy medication, whether it's the leukotriene medications, the leukotriene blockers, or whether it's a histamine blocker, whether it's like an Allegra or a Singulair, or whether it's like an albuterol or some kind of a steroid or an antihistamine, these tend to have some side effects of fatigue and potentially brain fog. Some of the leukotrienes, maybe not as much. I think it's the Allegra, but a lot of them are going to have fatigue and potentially energy and mood stuff as side effects, right? So we want to avoid that. Benadryl is another one that comes to mind that's an antihistamine. So we want to try to get to the root cause, okay? So the first thing we look at when it comes to allergies is kind of your histamine bucket. Histamine is an immune, kind of almost like a neurotransmitter almost. It's almost like a neuropeptide compound that's produced by your basophils, by your immune cells. Your basophils, once they leave your blood, they become mast cells, and these mast cells can produce histamine. So imagine this histamine bucket, right? All these things that can drive histamine production. Could be your foods, gluten, sugar, refined grains, inflammatory foods, excess omega-6 fatty acids via a lot of junky plant-based fats like soy, canola, right? Trying to think, safflower, right? All these junky fats that are going to be more inflammatory. Obviously grains, obviously refined sugar, processed grains. All these things are going to drive your antigenic bucket, okay? Some people come into the world with a bucket that's really small and it can overfill very easily. So then when you start adding in some of the foreign particles that are out there due to the blooming of the flowers and all that good stuff, it's going to fill up your bucket. Okay, so the first thing we look at is, okay, if you have a small bucket, how do we take things out of that bucket? How do we take antigens just mean foreign proteins. How do we take these foreign proteins or these stressors out of the bucket? That's number one. Number two, how do we mitigate and decrease the stress from the environment? Number two. And how do we make your inner and homeward environment better? Okay, so the first thing is get your diet really clean, right? Autoimmune or anti-inflammatory kind of paleo template. Get your glycemic load, right, in check. Get really good anti-inflammatory, good fats from fish and grass-fed beef and good quality avocados and good cold-pressed olive oil and coconut oil. Get really good anti-inflammatory, good healthy fats and proteins on board. Number two, get your inner environment dialed in with a high-quality air filter. Again, I like the Austin Air, something that has a HEPA-like filter quality with an additional charcoal or zeolite component, helps pull out toxins in the environment. I like the Austin Air. There's a couple other ones that are decent, like the Molecule and the Air Doctor is a bunch. I like the HEPA Air. I like the Austin Air because the filter lasts about 5 years versus changing it every 6 months, and the filter's got 30 pounds of zeolite and activated charcoal. So I like that. I'll put links down below for all products that I personally use myself, recommend to my family and patients. So I only recommend things that are going to be super high quality. So first thing, get your inner environment dialed in with air quality. Number two is flush out your sinuses. If you're outside all day, you're bringing all that crud, all of the dander and all of the allergens, you're bringing it inside. It's sitting in your frontal sinus right here. So really got to flush these things out. Now, I have a video on sinus flushing and irrigation. We'll put that video down below. You guys can watch how I actually flush my sinuses. Now, I don't do this because of allergies, because I don't have any allergies. I never have. But if I get a stuffy nose or if I get borderline sick, I'm flushing out my sinuses right away. And this can be applied for allergies as well. So if you have allergies, it works wonderful. Flush that out before you go to bed. So one, you have good clean sinuses when you're sleeping, and you're not creating inflammation and stress by breathing in all of that. If you're in Austin, right, a lot of cedar, you're not breathing in that cedar all night long, creating inflammation. If you're allergy sensitive, you can flush it out. And so we use a good quality, high quality filtered water, right? Either distilled water or really high quality reverse osmosis water. We're going to be adding some kind of a bicarbonate, some minerals in there to keep that water pH sensitive so it doesn't irritate your mucous membranes. And ideally some xylitol is wonderful in there. So I like the X-Clear packets are wonderful. Maybe some xylitol. You could always throw a little bit of silver or iodine in there as well. Really flush out, clean out that sinus. I like the X-Clear Rescue Spray. It can be very good, very anti-inflammatory. So flush that out maybe twice a day is a pretty good rule of thumb in the morning and when you go to bed until your allergies clear. We can also use natural antihistamine. So I have a product called Allerclear. Some of the ingredients in there: quercetin, natural antihistamine degranulator, bromelain, stinging nettle, NAC, potassium. You can also add in things like kidney glandular, which has an enzyme called DAO, which helps metabolize histamine. These are wonderful things to decrease the histamine load. Again, a lot of the medications, right? They're histamine blockers or receptor site antagonists. And these are going to be things like Benadryl or Allegra or Claritin or Singulair. And then, of course, you have Neocort and a lot of the steroid ones, which are going to be more on the extreme side, which we don't like as much because you can raise blood sugar and start breaking down lean tissue. So it's not the best long term. But again, these are kind of the conventional medicine options. None of it, one, the natural stuff tends to be a little bit more gentle, less side effects. Number two, doesn't really fix anything. Even the natural supplements don't fix it. That's why you have to actually make some of the root cause changes that I already mentioned earlier. So a lot of supplements we may recommend may still only be palliative. So you have to look at it like, what's the root cause? Like, number one root cause is you have a small histamine bucket. You have a small stress bucket. So one, by getting you healthier, we make the bucket bigger. Number two, we pull stressors out of that bucket. Number three, we work on the outer environment, whether it's air filtration in your home or cleaning out your sinuses. Number four, we do natural things to decrease histamine load, whether it's help break it down better via degranulation, and we use extra enzymes. And number five, we may even have to decrease histamine in our diet in the meantime, whether it's citrus foods, whether it's fermented foods, whether it's aged meats like pepperoni or bacon, or avocados or tomatoes. Some of those foods can be high in histamine. We may, even though they're like kind of healthy and paleo and really good, they may be just enough to overflow that histamine bucket. So again, I work with patients clinically. I have amazing success with allergies over the years because one, we're getting to the root cause. Two, we have really good palliative support. And three, we're also fixing the inner environment. If you have a whole bunch of cedar outside, make sure that doesn't come inside. If you have a whole bunch of cedar in your sinuses, make sure you get it out, right? Create a really, really good environment to make sure you get healthy. All right, let me go hit a couple of questions here. If you guys have chronic allergy issues and inflammation issues, almost all allergy stuffs are caused by you being too inflamed, you having usually some kind of adrenal and or gut issues. All these things can play a major role, so you got to get to the root cause. Allergies just tend to be the tip of the iceberg. It's usually something else. Tip of the iceberg right there. Allergies tend to be something else going on deeper if there's chronic stuff going on. So usually when I have patients with chronic allergy stuff, we're fixing a whole bunch of other hormonal stuff, and it's like, wow, their allergies are 80, 90, 100% better over the course of 6 months to a year. So I see that all the time in practice clinically. So you guys want to reach out to myself and or my colleagues, I'm available for you worldwide virtually down below. Click the link, and I'll be happy to answer some questions for you as well. All right, let me hit a couple of questions on Facebook first. Was told not to rinse daily, only when needed, stuffy, but I do have homemade nasal sprays, and I do rinses once a week, probably twice a week now that it's spring and summer and allergies. I mean, it depends, right? If you're doing it preventatively, Susan, then that's one thing. If you have chronic allergy issues and you're trying to stay on top of it, I would do at least once a day, especially during peak allergy season. And if you're noticing symptoms starting to get worse throughout the day and coming into nighttime, I'd rather have you do it again before bed so you can sleep better at night. So 1 to 2 times a day. And then if you're just trying to be more preventative, yeah, maybe every day may not be necessary if you are feeling great and you're not eating it. So it's going to be individualized. Okay, let me see here. Any other questions for you guys? All right, I'm going to skip questions that aren't on the allergy topic, just so you guys know. Okay, how do you support year-long mucus? So fix the underlying reason why the mucus is there. So first thing is look at food allergies, right? Dairy, grains, nuts, seeds, of course, refined processed foods, junky fats. Second thing is you can use the herb guaifenesin, which is in the over-the-counter Mucinex product, but guaifesin is an herb that kind of dries out mucous membranes. Sinus flushing is wonderful, especially if you have biofilms and bacteria and crap stuck up in your nose. That can be helpful. And N-acetylcysteine can also be helpful as well. My teenage son gets itchy all over anytime his body gets warm. What can I do to help? Well, I mean, he's inflamed. So you have to figure out why he's inflamed. So all the things that I mentioned regarding food and diet and making sure his gut's doing well, making sure his adrenals aren't overactive. He has a lot of cortisol and adrenal stress. That may need to be modulated as well. Boyfriend's on inhaler and Claritin. Keep to all liquid AIP meals. His bucket is small. We have air filters and safe items, sinus flush, and does QBC, NAC, ginger, silver, but needs major help with mucus. I mean, first thing is, number one, how much has that helped, right? So patients always say, well, this isn't working, or it is, but to what degree, right? Like if you weren't doing any of those things, how much worse would it be? And so I always like to understand how much has it helped already and how much more do we have to go. So in general, all the things that I mentioned need to be done. He has low cortisol, been adding in Redmond's real salt. Notice guy's blood pressure is going up and doing so. Should we add potassium? Yes, I would definitely add in potassium. And I would probably look at, he's got a lot of other issues going on probably with his gut and all that stuff. So all the testing needs to be done. But in the meantime, you can definitely add in some glutathione and some natural anti-inflammatories like curcumin. Would be great. Bromelain, quercetin, all those things are really good out of the gates. And you may even benefit with some systemic enzymes too, because one, they help with inflammation. Two, they help with coagulation. Like when you get inflamed, usually a lot of your cells get sticky, right? A lot of the platelets and cells get sticky. So the enzymes like serrapeptidase taken away from food can be very helpful. Why does my nose get itchy when I eat pork? Probably just a food allergen. What's the best way to keep bacteria from growing in the sinus rinse bottle? Just put enough in there for a day, right? Use it for a day and then make that be it. And then you can just wash it out in between. It's when you leave the rinse bottle there for a long period of time, you're going to have problems. But you could always rinse it out with a little bit of 3% hydrogen peroxide. You'll be good. Should we worry about NAC? No, NAC is a liver tonifier. That should be fine. What allergy-free breakfast did you have this morning? So for me, I'm pretty stable. I did one piece of a grass-fed, pasture-fed sausage, pork sausage, not grass-fed, but pasture-fed pork sausage. And I had 2 cups of coffee with collagen, MCT, and some butter. And then I'll have like a nice light salad, maybe with the Granny Smith apple, maybe a 90% piece of dark chocolate, and a kombucha for lunch. And then today I think I have on the agenda, I have some meatball soup. So like some meatballs, some peas, some carrots, all in like a nice little soup. And then I'll probably have like maybe a piece of like coconut in dark chocolate for dessert. Something simple like that. Keep it really simple. And then tomorrow's Friday, so I typically go out to eat Friday night, so I'll intermittent fast most of the day. I'll have a little bit of coffee in the morning and I'll intermittent fast till like 6 o'clock at night. So get my cellular autophagy going. All right, guys, hope that helps for you. One question here, Paula writes in, I'm dealing with H. pylori, nausea, headaches, and fatigue. Is Matula tea helpful? It is, but I would definitely be utilizing my ginger tea with Manuka honey as well. And if you're dealing with die-off, you need to pull back on whatever herbs you're taking. You need to add in some nice binders to help bind up whatever is being released so your body's not dealing with that stress. When I eat some foods, healthy avocado, for instance, my throat gets itchy. Is eating something super healthy doing more harm than good? Well, it sounds like there's a histamine issue, right? Avocados could be a histamine issue. So you need to look at moving more like paleo, low histamine in the meantime, and then work on all the changes that I mentioned in this video. All right, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thumbs up, really appreciate it. Write me a review, justinhealth.com/iTunes, ITUNES for a review. I appreciate it, you guys. Thanks so much. And you need help, I'm here for y'all. All right, guys.